My name is Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. Yesterday I had a memory of something that took place many, many years ago when I was just a boy, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years old. But my father and I were at one of his friends' house, and my father was talking about different things that he had done in the military and so on, and this man gets an idea. Well, maybe we can make a lot of money by capitalizing on your skills. Maybe we could have you run a motorcycle off of a cliff, or maybe we could have you do these things that, to my mind, all I could think about was danger. And as they're talking about this stuff, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just thinking, please don't hurt my daddy. I don't want my daddy to be hurt. That's what I was thinking as a little boy. I've thought about how many children right now who are thinking the exact same thing because their mother or their father is in jail because they cannot afford to pay child support. I've talked with a number of people, both men and women, who have been behind on child support, and they talk about some of the things that they've gone through. In the state of Texas, if you're behind on child support, the Attorney General will go after you and will seek to put you in jail. I have a friend right now who was in jail, probably for 2.5 months now, of a 6-month sentence, and his crime is that he did not pay child support. Now, Josh was on the verge of bankruptcy, but the Attorney General felt that they had to call him in because he is a deadbeat dad. Now, Josh was an outstanding father. Some people would almost call him Father of the Year for the way that he took care of his children. And yet, the Attorney General would consider him to be a child support evader. And because he did not pay child support, he is sitting in jail. Another friend of mine told me about how he was in jail for 3 different occasions. He had been a fairly wealthy person, but going through the divorce process, a divorce against his will, a divorce that was forced upon him, just like it was forced upon my friend Josh, a divorce that was forced upon him, and yet his wife was able to basically bankrupt him. And the courts made him pay child support to his wife, because after the courts gave her the kids, somebody has to pay for the children, and that was my friend. Now, one of his children also had Down syndrome. He has not been able to see his child with Down syndrome for years, but he told me about his time in the jail, and he says, Jeff, to this day, I still have PTSD from my time in this jail. What was he in for? Was he a hardened criminal? Was he somebody who was stealing money? No. Once again, he was a person who was broke, who could not pay child support. I have another friend right now who's in danger of being thrown into jail because a judge does not think he's paying enough child support. The list can go on and on and on. If you look at the Attorney General's website, there will be a page for child support evaders. And these are people that the Attorney General is asking the public to help him find, help him locate these people so that he can get these deadbeats, these deadbeat dads or these deadbeat moms. Now, they don't use the term deadbeats, at least in official correspondence and on the website, but that's exactly what they're looking for. These people are in contempt of court because they are not paying child support. In many instances, they cannot afford to pay child support. In many instances, they can't even see their children. Now, the Attorney General and the Governor and all of our elected officials will do very little, if anything, to help them see their children, but they do want to make sure that these people pay child support. And if they don't pay child support, the Attorney General has stated that he has a vast arsenal of weapons in his quiver. He can take away their driver's license, he can keep their vehicles from being renewed, he can take their passports away so that they can't travel, he can put them in jail. And again, as I was thinking about my memory going back with my father, I can't help but wonder how many of these children, of these fathers or mothers who are incarcerated for poverty, incarcerated good people, but who just cannot pay the child support. How many of these children are probably thinking in the back of their mind, please don't hurt my mommy, please don't hurt my daddy. And with that one man, he told me that on his first day in jail, he saw a guard come and pick up a teenager, body slam him. The teenager had to be hauled out to the hospital in an ambulance. He's in with this group of people. What did I do? He was not a hardened criminal at all. He was a person who was broken by the system, broken financially, broken emotionally, broken in many ways. And by the way, he was also a person who was divorced against his will, as very many people are in the state of Texas. In addition to the fact that you have children who are saying in the back of their mind, please don't hurt my mommy, please don't hurt my daddy, please don't let anything bad happen to them, you now also have children at Christmas time who will not see their mother or their father because they are in jail. Can you imagine the memory of a child, his 8th Christmas, and what took place? I could not be with my daddy because he was in jail, because the state of Texas threw him in jail because he could not make a child support payment? Or how about somebody who says, on my 10th Christmas, I could not see my mommy because my mommy was in jail. Why was she in jail? What did she do? She could not pay the child support that the court ordered her to pay. So my mommy got thrown into jail, and I will not be having Christmas with my mommy. What type of memories are we causing these children to have? What kind of nightmares are we causing these children to have to live through? And what kind of trauma is the state of Texas inflicting upon these children as they worry about their mommy or their daddy who's in prison, often with people who they should never even be exposed to? But that's the type of condition that they live in, and they're going to be in jail for 6 months. And when they get out, they're still going to have to keep paying, except now they have a record and they owe more. Because in the state of Texas, if you are in jail, your child support payments keep accruing, the interest keeps accruing, the arrearages keep accruing, you just have more to pay, but you've been out of the workforce for 6 months, and probably you are fired from your job. Somehow, this is the magic pill that the state of Texas is saying will help to solve all child support issues. Now, the state of Texas won't talk about the issue of divorce, very rarely anyway, and the state of Texas will not talk about the family courts. The family courts, which is a source of a lot of corruption. They won't talk about the divorce attorneys who will size up balance sheets to find out how much they can plunder from each of the parents, or maybe look at college funds that they can say, well, that college fund should go to my children instead of to their children. They will not talk about these custody evaluators who are unqualified in many instances to do anything, but who charge $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a child custody evaluation to determine which parent should get custody of the children. This past year in February 22nd, 2019, the Attorney General of the state of Texas, Ken Paxton, issued an opinion, KP-0241. And in this opinion, one of the main underlying things that he said was the state must show the burden of proof when they are seeking to separate a parent from a child. And yet the state of Texas routinely separates mothers or fathers from their children by incarcerating them. Now, what we have in the state of Texas is debtors' prisons. The reality is the state of Texas is throwing mothers and fathers into jail because they cannot afford to pay child support. There are several problems with the child support system in the state of Texas. Number one, in Texas, we use a single income model, whereas almost every other state in America uses a shared income model. They look at the incomes of both the mother and the father, and based on that, they determine a child support percentage. In Texas, it is a winner-take-all situation. He or she who gets the children also gets the child support. And the state of Texas will bring its entire wrath upon the person who cannot pay. In addition to that, the way the child support is often dished out in the state of Texas is very unjust. In many instances, a person who didn't even want divorce, who's trying to keep his family together or her family together, who's forcefully divorced, but the state of Texas will say, now you get to pay child support. The state of Texas is very unjust in the way that it determines child support. In some instances, it makes people pay much more than they can afford. In other instances, it makes them pay much less than they should pay. When a person abandons a family, destroys a family, there's no reason why that person should not be giving more toward the children and also toward the spouse of that relationship. As a result of our practices in Texas, I've heard of many instances in which parents are paying the child support for their son or for their daughter because they want to keep their son or daughter out of jail. They're doing everything that they can. In the instance of my friend Josh, his parents from Minnesota were sending their Social Security checks to the state of Texas. That's how greedy the state of Texas is. They had to have Social Security checks from parents in Minnesota in order to try to keep Josh out of jail. And the fact that he's basically bankrupt does not mean a thing to them. In addition to bankruptcy, now you have become a person who is in jail. We will incarcerate you because we want you to respect us. This is causing trauma to our children. Once again, as I thought back to my childhood, this one conversation that took place out of many, and thinking how I was thinking to myself, please don't hurt my daddy. I don't want my daddy to get hurt. How many children today are thinking the same thing, knowing that their mother or their father is in jail? The state of Texas will talk about how they are looking out for the best interest of the children. I cannot see how traumatizing children, how causing them to have nightmares, how causing them to miss Christmases or Thanksgivings or other holidays with their mother or their father is in the best interest of the children. If you agree with me, feel free to call the governor of the state of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott. He used to be the Attorney General. He knows all about the child support system, and he was one who helped to perfect the child support system in the state of Texas. Call Attorney General Ken Paxton. He is the current Attorney General. Call him and give him your thoughts. I cannot tell you how many people have contacted me and have told me their stories. Sometimes it's grandparents saying, I'm so concerned about my son or my daughter. Sometimes it's mothers or fathers saying, I want to see my children. The state of Texas will not help me see my children, but they will put me in jail for lack of paying child support. I may be a great mother, I may be a great father, but if I don't pay the state of Texas the money that it wants, they will throw me in jail. One other thing before I close here. There was a telephone call that took place a couple of years ago, and the question was asked of the governor why the state of Texas doesn't do things to help parents who can't see their children. Why doesn't the state intervene and help with that? And the governor said, we don't get money for that. We get this other money to help collect child support, but we don't get money for that.
My question is, what are your plans for custody reform and child support reform for the state of Texas?
Right. You know, custody reform is so very important. Child support is something that I dealt with when I was and the way the federal law works is it empowers the states to collect child support for the person who is intended to receive it, but it did not empower the states to have any control over custody-based issues. And as a result, some parents, oftentimes dads, would not get the custody rights they deserved or that they were granted by a court. So even though Texas led the nation in having the #1 program for child support collection, we were unable to do what needed to be done to help both parents stay involved in the child's life. I consider that to be very important. A child needs both parents involved to help raise that child the right way. And as a result, what I'm doing is I'm visiting with federal officials who are the ones in charge of writing the laws to make sure that we're going to be able to improve custodial rights and parental rights of both parents in their child's life.
To me, that is a completely unacceptable and a weak excuse. If the state of Texas can impose child support on people, can make them pay even when they did not want a divorce, even when they were the ones trying to keep the family together, if the state of Texas is only concerned about how much money it can make from the government, I think it's a very unacceptable answer. I would love to see the governor. I would love to see the attorney general. I would love to see the representatives and the senators take time this Christmas to go visit the children of some of these fathers and mothers who sit in jail. In fact, why don't you make it a point to go take a child with you and visit the mother or father in jail, and then tell the child at the end, I put him there because I care more about money than about your relationship with your mother or father. Again, the child support issue, I've never been personally affected by it, but I know many people. I've known the heartache that it's caused. I know the trauma it can cause to children. Children who say, please don't hurt my daddy. Please don't hurt my mommy. I don't want to see them be hurt. And yet we are throwing these people into jail to punish them for poverty. Something is wrong in Texas. And I hope that this becomes an issue that our governor, our attorney general, our representatives, our senators will all start to face and address. Thank you.